Hi, my name is Laura and welcome back to Book Bubbler. I'm going to start a Sunday reads instead of a Friday reads. Today's Saturday, November 16th. My mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. She's not watching this. But I just ran some errands today, brought over some breakfast for her, and we had some coffee and talked for a couple hours. And now I am home and doing laundry, and they are still doing road construction outside of my house. We've had a lot of snow. It's been an early winter in Wisconsin. This is really January weather, stuff in the 20s and 10s. I don't think we've gotten to the single digits yet temperature-wise, but it's cold. We've had lots of snow, kind of crazy. Anyways, it's warm today. It's almost 40 degrees, so there's a whole crew of people out there. My 6-lane road, a block from my house, is down to 2 lanes. So it's a little bit of a mess. There's lots of shuddering and thundering. This might bounce around a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. But I thought, what the heck? Between laundry loads, I might as well stop in here and film something. Hopefully I can get it up soon. Okay, so this week I finished 5 books. They are 4 of them were ebooks I checked out from the library, and 1 was a library book that I already returned. So I don't have it to show you. So I'll try and figure out how to insert GIFs up here or pictures. It can't be hard. I can figure it out, I'm sure, but we'll see. So the first thing I read this week was not Buried in a Bog. What was that? 1, 2, 3. White Nights by Cleeves. I can do this. This is the second in the Shetland Island series. Mystery series. The TV show is based on this, of course, too. This one featured Detective Jimmy Perez investigating, obviously, a murder. There is, how does this start? It's been like 5 days. I don't remember. And that's not anything about the book. That's just how my brain works. I'm just on to the next one already quickly. I don't retain a lot. I'm trying to work on that, believe me. But anyways, so there is an art show with Jimmy's sort of girlfriend on one of the Shetland Islands. I forget which one it is right now, but it's set in Bedista, fake town. But I like that name, Bedista. So it's between an art show between Jimmy's girlfriend and a famous artist who is from that area. There's a man that shows up, kind of causes a scene, says he has amnesia, and is found the next morning hanging in a shed that lots of people use on the beach that just holds old beach stuff and oars and things. So he gets called in for that. Of course, a second body eventually shows up in a different direction. They seem unrelated, but of course they end up being related because it's a mystery series. That's how these things work. So I really enjoyed it. I like the Shetland series. I love Scotland, regardless of setting or anything else. I just love Scotland. And I haven't read much set on many of the islands, but I like the feel of this place. I like the way that it sounds. I've seen just 1 episode of this TV show, which was, I think, the first book, the first series, book in this, why can't I talk today? The first book in the mystery series is this second series, first episode of the TV show. And they changed a lot about it. I don't know why they made these changes. Like in the book, it's set in winter. There's a corpse found in snow and frozen. Winter plays a big deal. And in the TV show, it's summer. And the first body is found on the beach, in the middle of this deserted beach, right next to a major highway, or not highway, probably the only main road through there. And she is wearing a red coat. Like there's nothing. It's all green and tan and blue. And then there's this bright red coat. And no one's supposed to see it for days or something. It just made no sense to me whatsoever. Irritated. I'm trying to get over it, just like the Agatha Raisin series. I love the books. I love the TV show, but they're different. So I just have to get over that longer format difference. Anyways, rambling again. Welcome. So this White Nights book, I did like the mystery. I was not surprised by who the dead man ended up being, the one they found hanging in the shack, but how everything else tied in and how the story went, I was surprised by. I gave this 4 stars. I use a modified version of the Goodreads rating for rating my books. So 1 star means I hated it, I didn't finish it, or no, I always finish stuff. I wish I could bail. I kind of skim read till the end when I don't like something. So 1 is I didn't like it or I hated it. 2 is it was okay, just fine, you know, didn't hate it, didn't like it. It was just fine. 3 stars is good. I enjoyed it. Not the best thing in the universe, but I liked it. 4 stars, I really enjoyed it a lot, despite whatever minor faults they might have, whatever. 5 stars is I loved it. Maybe read it again. So there were some big twists. I was right there with the characters, whatever it is, but 5 is I loved it. So rating number 2 in a mystery series of 4 stars is pretty typical for me for a non-cozy mystery series. I liked this a lot. I look forward to the next in the series. I've already started it. Thank God my hold came through at the library at the last minute, so I'm working on that right now. So White Nights by Cleeves, 4 stars. The next book I finished, I'll do these next 2 in order since it's part of the same series. So the second and third books I finished this week are books number 6 and 7 in the White House Chef Mystery Series by Julie, I believe it's Hyzy, 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 unsure. This number 6 book is called Fonduing Fathers, and number 7 is Home of the Braised. In the 6th book, I don't remember what happens. That's terrible. But Olivia, being Olivia, the White House executive chef, she comes in, notices things, figures stuff out, pays attention, like you would hope you would, or most people would. But I think what I like about Olivia is that, as a main character, is that she's not afraid to look stupid or make a mistake or have people think something bad or incorrect about her, which for me, I'm really nervous about people liking me. So that's like a superpower to me, that people can just do that and don't care if someone thinks they're stupid or whatever. But so Olivia saves the day there, Fonduing Fathers. I do remember. I remember. This is about investigating her father's death. So Olivia must be in her 30s or 40s, I'm not sure, but her father was in the army and was dishonorably discharged, but is still buried at Arlington Cemetery. I don't think we find about the dishonorable discharge until the book before, book number 5, which I don't remember the title. So this is about Olivia and her boyfriend investigating her father's death, and it ends up being a murder. Of course it does. It's a cozy mystery series. Of course it ends up being a murder, but it's not only that, it's also about her father's life. And once they find out that he was murdered, they have to try and backtrack stuff from 25 or 30 years ago. So it's really interesting to see who she finds still alive, how this developed, and what happened to her dad, how he really lived, how he really died. Really, really interesting. So that was 4 stars for cozy. That's kind of shocking to me. And then the 7th book in the series, which I read the next day, which is called Home of the Braised. That one features Olivia. This is set more in the White House again this time. There is a fake Middle Eastern country that the U.S. has been at war with for quite a long time. I think close to 50 years. And the leader of this country decides that he wants to create, I think, a peace accord with the United States. So they're planning a big state dinner. There's going to be speeches, and there's a whole contingent of people coming from this fake country. So in the middle of that, Olivia's boyfriend, Gavin, he and Olivia are going to visit one of his friends who called and said he needed help. His friend is a former, I believe he was a Marine in the Secret Service somehow, and now is a priest. So they go to find his friend so Olivia can meet him and they can see what kind of help he needs. And they find him and 4 other bodies dead in his parish or in his church. So that's one storyline. So investigating the death of Gavin's friend and all of that stuff, and how that may or may not relate to this peace accord from this Middle Eastern country that's coming across. And there is a new group of people, a mercenary group, that is starting to work at the White House with the PPD and with the Secret Service. So all these things kind of turn together, and they're all involved, they're all related. But I liked seeing how everything came together, and I liked the storyline, and I loved the ending. This could be because this was I mean, it's been many weeks since I've had a decent night's sleep. Almost all of my reading is done by ebook these days when I'm laying in bed trying to sleep. So call it because of that, because of no sleep, 3 hours the last few nights. But the end of this book made me cry, like happy tears. It was really lovely and a nice surprise I didn't see coming. So that was really good. So that I rated 4 stars also. Let's see, gosh, 10 minutes rambling, 3 books. That's not a good ratio. Let's crack on. Okay, so the 4th book I finished this week is Buried in a Bog by Sheila Connolly. This is the first book in the County Cork Cozy Mystery series. I rated this one 3 stars. It was good. It was fine. The main character, Maura, goes back to Ireland after her grandmother passes away. It was just the 2 of them for family. Her mom ditched her. Her father died. That her grandmother was from Ireland and always helped people. They didn't have a lot of money, but somehow she had saved enough money for a plane ticket for Maura to go and visit her old hometown. So Maura goes, ends up meeting one of her grandmother's old friends. They had been corresponding by letter. So she's going to plan to meet her, ends up staying in a small town with like 1 bar. And of course ends up involving herself totally inadvertently with a couple of dead bodies. One is a bog body, hence the title Buried in a Bog. The other is a murder that happens a few days after she's in town. I think the whole book takes place over a week, maybe just over a week. She gets pushed off the road in a car when she's driving. She gets stalked on the way home and jumped. All this stuff happens, and she sort of ends up deciding to stay in Ireland. That's not really a spoiler. She repeatedly says, throughout the beginning especially, and then throughout the book too, that she has no job to go to, that she sold all of their possessions before she came to Ireland. She doesn't have any friends. It was just her and her grandmother, really, in, I believe, Brooklyn. So she has no reason to go anywhere else. So, of course, she ends up staying. But, where she ends up working and things is kind of interesting. The side characters in the story are interesting, kind of stereotypical, some of them not. So this was good. This was fine. I enjoyed it. I will read the next one when it comes up in my library hold list, whenever that happens. And the last one I read so far this week is a nonfiction graphic novel called Kid Gloves by Knisley. This one I rated 4 stars, just a little bit over actually, but they don't have quarter or half stars on Goodreads, so 4 stars. This follows Lucy's journey to becoming a mom and having Pal. Pal's not his real name, of course, but that's his internet name. She's always wanted kids her whole life, and now that she tried to have one, she's trying to get pregnant and gets pregnant, has a miscarriage, which is devastating. But and then she ends up having Pal and talking about reproductive rights. It's a little bit of history of reproductive rights and history in the U.S., things that are taught in schools probably still, so what's misinformed. I think we're close to the same age. She's a little younger than I am, but we're close to the same age enough that what she was taught in schools was what I was taught in schools. And I didn't remember the specifics. I couldn't have pulled them out of my head previously, but looking over them again and reading them in her book, I thought, oh yeah, I do remember learning that. And then realizing that it was based on one study from the 50s that was incorrect or had no parameters, or, so much misinformation. So that was interesting to get history of women's reproductive health and sexual health, along with her own personal journey of babies and trying to get pregnant and going through the miscarriage and how her body changed when she was pregnant and the morning sickness, oh my God, and then her near-death experience giving birth, up until just he was a few months old. I think that's when it stops, just after he's a little baby, and the next book will be about his early years, I'm assuming. I think he's only maybe 2 now. I haven't followed her on Instagram in a while, but I really enjoyed it. I like Lucy Knisley's work. I've been a fan of her since French Milk, her first book. So this was a good one, a nice nonfiction graphic memoir for Nonfiction November. So that's all I've read this week. Coming up for this coming week reading, I am working on my purse book. I always have a mass market book in my purse. So I have the first in a paranormal, I think it's like a thriller romance series by Carrie Arthur. This is called Fireborn. The main character is a phoenix, which I don't remember a lot of books about phoenixes. Vampires are in here. Yes, they're everywhere else too in the world. I believe werewolves are in this, but not so much. It's more vampires. And then, oh, fae also, fairies, which is interesting. But so far it's really good. It's an easy crack and read, so I'll probably finish that this afternoon. I'm working on the third book in the Shetland series on my Kindle, and I think I just checked, yeah, this morning I checked out the second book in the Vera Stanhope series, also by Cleeves. So I will roll into that one once I finish the Shetland book. Outside of that, I'm not really sure. Physical books, I'm hoping to get some wrapped up before the end of the year. The next video I do, I think, will be end of the year goals. Because it's coming up quickly, hey? I mean, 2 weeks till Thanksgiving, a little less now, that's a lot. And then Christmas right around the corner. I gotta get more organized. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that you found something here that you like. I hope you subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Please leave me a comment. I am working on getting into checking my computer every day and going online. So leave me a comment. I'd love to talk to you about books. If you've read any of these, what did you think? Do you disagree with me? Do you think I'm dumb? Whatever. Let me know. Let's start a little conversation about books. If you have a channel, leave your channel name too. I'd love to follow people. I'm following several dozen right now, but I always looking for more. And I tend to I want to write things down when someone mentions them. I watch almost all my YouTube on my TV, so it's not like I can comment right away or go back and reference. So try to make a list of people to follow, but then I lose the paper or forget, or I don't know, whatever. So leave me your channel, leave me some of your favorite booktubers. You know, I want to get into this a little bit more. So I hope you're all staying warm in the Northern Hemisphere and cool in the Southern. And I hope that you're all having a fantastic day with some great books to read. Thanks so much and take care. Bye.